Hi, my name is Milo, and today I'm going to give you a brief lesson on the numbering system. Some people describe this as the Nashville number system. I just learned it as the number system, and in essence, all it is it's just assigning a number to a chord. So rather than looking at GDC, you would look at 154 or whatever the chords may be. Let me give you an example of where this uh, really came in handy for me. So I was in a worship group, a worship band, and playing bass. I'm using guitar for this lesson though, but I was given a chart that looked very similar to something like this, right? Where it's just it was the words and then some chords scribbled up there, and I said, okay, cool. And I looked at the chart, and the chart just simply said G D E C, and I was like, okay, all right, that's simple enough. Everyone, I've played that 1,000 times, great. And was unfamiliar with the material. I was just like, oh well, the music's simple enough that you can just pick up and follow along with. Okay, awesome. And it seemed such. So then we went to start playing, and then the worship leader did something like this. Took out a capo, and he put it on, and he started playing. This capo was on correctly, though, but anyways. Wait, where are they playing? And the band goes off, and here I am just fumbling around down here. It wasn't sounding right, and it was awful. And so what had happened was, while he was playing the G, D, and E and C chords, the capo had changed the key. So now, if you're aware, if you're not, every time you put a capo on, you're modulating the key. And so every fret is a half step. So by placing the capo on capo 4, he's now modulated the song up 2 whole steps. As a result, the song that was in G now became B. And so the first thing I did was like, okay, capo 4, and I did the math on B, so then I go and I sit there and I try and scramble down. So if that's in B, so then, okay, so B, and then I go up 4, and I'm like, so D, up 2 steps, okay, so then that's an E. It was just a nightmare. And then what I did was I went back and I did what I learned in school, which was the notation. How do you notate the chords? And so that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So now how do we do it? Well, we do it, it's pretty simple actually. So every key that you're in just has the 7 chords respectively, or the notes, sharp or flat. So in G, the example that we're in, your G chord would be your root, so therefore that's the 1. If you go up to the second note of the chord, which is an A, so that's the 2 chord, the minor 2, and so on and so forth. You got the 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So very simply, G, D, C. So even you just count. So you say G, that's my root, that's 1. And then I would go to my sheet here with all this stuff. And whereas they gave me a sheet that looked something like this, G, D, E minor, C, I now just scratch those out, and I would sit there on the little music stand, and I'd say G, okay, that's a 1. I'd cross it out, and I would just put a big fat number 1, just like that. D, that's the 5, because I go G, and just count up. Even if you don't know your intervals by heart right now, all you just gotta do is go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, D, that's the 5. 1, 5. All right, a big 5. Roman numerals is the number system standard. Capital Roman numeral for major chord, lowercase for minor. So in the example of the E minor, okay, that's just one whole step up from D. So that's a 6, a minor 6. And then C, one whole step down from D, that's a 4. So effectively, we now just have 1, 5, 6, 4. So then when the band leader or whomever comes out and they want to be slick, and they just say, oh, chords, G, D, E, C, and they pop on their capo, on a capo 4, and they go. All you gotta know now is, well, you're doing 1, 5, 6, 4, say, what key are you in? And if they say, I don't know what key I'm in, because that happened to me a lot, and then I say, well, what capo are you using? And they'd say, well, capo 4. And I say, you're doing G on capo 4? Yes. So I say, okay, capo 4, that's 1 half step, 2 half steps, 3 half steps, 4 half steps, so 2 whole steps. So G, G sharp, A sharp, B flat, sorry, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. Okay, great. So all I needed to know is now we start on B. And as you notice, it's the same chord progression, it's just that. So however you were playing it, so for instance, if you're playing this on guitar, G, D, E, C in root position, that's very simple. Not everyone knows the root chords for B, so then you say, all right, I'll use power chords. Why not? So we just go 1, 5, 6, 4. If you're a little bit fancier, you know a little bit more, you can do the full bar chords. And the great thing about this is as soon as this sort of clicks for you, you will realize so many songs are the same. So many things carry over and are similar to each other. And eventually you won't even need the charts because you'll just hear someone come up and they'll just start playing. And you say, okay, well that's 1, 5, 6, 4. And then you figure out what key is in. Oh, that was C sharp. Beyond that, you'll then start recognizing the absence of those chords. Now you hear someone, they just go. You say, okay, well he didn't go to the 6, so that's just 1, 5, 4. And you will find that for you, the shorthand of this is going to be invaluable in picking up how quickly you can learn the songs and teach the songs to others, because it goes the reverse. I deal with this a lot where I play with people that don't know the number system, and despite how frustrating that might be for me, it also makes it easy for me to translate. So let's say I wrote a song and I'm trying to teach it to them, and I'm like, well, I'm just doing a 1, 4, 5, 6, and they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean 1, 4, 5, 6? And then I can say, okay, well, keys in D. So here's my 1 is the D, my 4 is the G, my 5 is the A, and the 6 is the B minor there. So then I can just say, oh, it's D, G, A, B minor, and they say, great. And then if they say, well, I don't know how to play a B minor, how do you play the B minor? I can just then say, well, you can use a capo. And if those chords are too tricky, put that capo on capo 2. Brings it up a whole step. Now you can play a C, an F, a G, and an A minor. Same key, just different ways of playing it. And let me see. So now what do you do? Let's just do another little practice example here. Let's say you're given a chart once again, and your chords are, you have an F, it says F, it says C major, A minor, and G. Like this. And you think, okay, great. Not a, a little bit, it's still in the major root chords that you're used to. It just starts on a different spot. Okay, you recognize that progression. Then once again they come out and they grab their capo and they throw it, let's just go, they throw it kind of up high. They throw it up on capo 7. Well, that seems tricky because it's way up high, but not really. So you just know the numbers, F, C, A, and G. Now, this is the tricky thing. You might think, oh, so this key must be in the key of F. And so you think, okay, well, the 1 of F, but the chords don't quite line up if you think of an F, because this is actually in the key of C. Because if this was, and an easy way of decoding this is if it's in the key of F, you would not have, so F would be the 1, that's good. C would be the 5, that's good. The A, minor 3. Now this is where it's tricky. The G is would be a major 2. Now, if you're playing bass, this would work, but if the song changes to, like, let's say this is the verse, and then the chorus it's going to throw you off. And so that G there, since a G chord would not fall, those notes would not fall in the key of F major, you then have to kind of deduce. The next most likely thing is the F. Since the F, the next most likely thing would be what you would presume would be the 5th of the F, which would be the C. So it turns out this would be in C, so you would write this as a 4, 1, 6, 5. So once again, chords are still 1, 5, 6, 4, and they decided to throw the capo all the way up to capo 7. But since you know that the first chord was an F, meaning the capo is essentially the open. So if their capo is up here on capo 7, you'd be playing the F, which would be 1 up. So that's the new key, which is just G major. So it's like these, and even then you say, oh, well, you threw that capo all the way up there, but you're just in G. You can just, Anyways, that's just a couple examples. I know it can seem a bit daunting at first, like you're like, oh my god, I have to be up here and doing math. But once again, let me just try and clarify this a little bit more. Is in a normal key, bog standard song. This isn't a jazz chart. You generally won't be doing this type of numbering system if the music's complex. If someone's expecting you to learn a jazz song on the spot or some prog metal song on the spot, that's not going to work. This is just like, oh, you're filling in for a buddy's cover band, or maybe you're auditioning for a band, or worship groups, or someone's just pulling up songs on their phone, and you want to do it. This is just a very great, simple way to do it. So let me just back up a bit, and we'll just clarify. We'll just go to C, bog standard C major, and so we just do, your C will be your 1 chord. We're going to go up the scale. So C, D, it's a 2, E, 3, F, 4, G, 5, A, 6, B, 7. Sorry about my pick. So, someone is saying, oh, let's do a song. We have I'm going to do C, A minor, F, G. Just right there, you say, okay, what are the chords again? They say, oh, C, A minor, F, G. You say, okay, cool, and just think, okay, that's a 1, it's a minor 6, that's a major 4, and a major 5. And how do I know these are major or minor? Because you ask and you say, if they say, oh, I do C, A, F, G, and of course, if you just go, so that doesn't sound right. And they say, oh, C, A minor, F, G, okay. And that's great. And then they're singing, and they say, you know what? The song, it's a little bit low for me. I think I need to change this. And they go and they pop on their capo, and they do. And you can say, great. And they say, okay, well, so the new chords are, and you say, I don't need them. You just say, you just a whole step up. You know, and this method is also great because once you're able to kind of decode that, you now are like, wait a second, I can play exactly what I was playing down here. I just played up here. This is also a great thing to know if a song does decide to modulate in the middle, and you will see this fairly often. And I always call it the Bon Jovi chord or the Bon Jovi thing because you hear it a lot in like 80s style music where the chorus is going big, you know. Bigger up to modulates, and you know that really trips some people up if you just say, oh, we go up a whole step, you know, because they think, well, I know in C, so then how do I play the D? And you can just say, no, it's just a 1 5 6 4 1 5 6 4, and they say, oh, that's too low, go up, and then when the change happens, go up 1 5 6 4. And now this also applies to minor keys. Now, if you're unaware, for every key, a major key, there's the relative minor. And all that means is it's the minor key, but all the notes are the same. So, for instance, in the key of G, let's stay in C because that's where I'm at. That's a C major scale. Now, its relative minor is the 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is an A minor. That A minor scale is the same notes as the C major scale. They just start on a different position. And this also works for the number system. So if someone hands you a chart that says, you know, A minor, F major, C major, G, you know, and it looks like that, A, F, C, G, and you recognize, okay, this is A minor, how do I write this in major? Well, A is the 6th, and so you think, okay, 6, 7 would be a B, root C. C. So now we go here and we say, okay, well, here's my C. So that's my number 1. A 5th of C is G. Whole step down from G is just an F, so that's my 4. And then, of course, it's relative minor. It's a 6. So now my chords look like this. 6, 4, 1, 5. And then you'll notice, you'll say, wait, that's the exact same thing as if you were in C and you went 1, 6, 4. It's just starting on somewhere. So you get this chart, it says A, F, C, G, you've determined that, and then he throws his darn capo on again. You gotta do the math. This time I threw it on capo 3, so now we're going. So that's 3 half steps, or 1.5 steps total. To determine that, just simply say, okay, starts on an A. It's an open A. He went up 3, 1, 2, 3. That now makes this C minor. Is that, yeah. C minor. And if you know your bar chords, because C minor seems like a very intimidating key. If you know your bar chords. Oh, that's great. So now let's say you do that and you're playing with the bar chords. They say, I really like that open chord sound. So how do you go from an A minor to a C minor, but yet still get to play that? Well, they already figured it out. They just used a capo. You know? And you're still just playing a minor 6, major 4, major 5, which is also the relative minor key of C. So this might sound like a different song all of a sudden. Okay, that's 1, 5, 6, 4. And after time, and this has been a system, it's been a device that's really helped me nail down progressions and help with my ear training, because you will notice these patterns constantly. You're just going to be sitting there in a grocery store and you'll hear a song that you've never heard before, and you'll be like, oh, this is a 1, 5, 6, 4. Oh, this is a 1, 5, 4. Oh, this is a 4, 6, 1. You know, you're just going to get the hang of it after time, and it might seem... You know, and a good exercise for this, one way I got really quick at this would be, when I was trying to learn songs, you know, and you go to the guitar tab websites and you just get the chords printed out for you, I would, you know, just do the math right then and there. You know, that way I don't need to worry about, you know, because that's another thing these sites do a lot now is if you don't have the premium version, it won't transpose for you. You know, so if you look at a song that's in A and you say, that's a little bit too high for me, can I bring it down to G? And you try and do it on their website, it won't do it for you. So now you just say, okay, A, that's the 1, E, that's the 5, you know, D, that's the 4, 1, 5, 4. Okay, that's all I needed to know. And everything else doesn't matter, because now you can figure it out on your own. Anyways, this is sort of my brief rundown of the explanation of the Nashville number system, some call it. Number system, chord markings, many ways of doing it. Anyways, I hope this is helpful. Thank you.